Right, so you got to excuse the mess that's everywhere. I've got boxes since ordering all the parts and things that I needed. So as you can see here, I've stripped the kart back. I've still got the existing axle on, but while taking it off since my last video, there was a few more, well, I guess there are a few more things that I've noticed that needed changing. So if you recall, I had quite a wobbly brake pedal, and they were for a junior, and the reason why I was hitting this was because this what is it, a bumper bar? Forgive me, I'm probably butchering the right terminology of it, but it had it bent, so it moved that way, which made this at a tighter angle, and this one was more at a pitched angle outwards. So I've had to, with some subtle persuasion, bend it back so it's a little bit more aligned now, and the old pedal stopped touching the corner here. So obviously I had a knock somewhere, because I don't know if you can see, there's a bit of creasing there, so that's obviously where it did have a knock. The fuel tank, I've gotten a smaller fuel tank this time round, and it's actually got the feeder line in it, whereas the old one didn't have it in there, and I thought maybe about having a smaller fuel tank would help me out with weight as well. I've had to get a bracket as well because it's smaller. The nut is too low for the actual bracket, so I've had to just buy it's like an adapter, small fuel tank adapter thing for that one, so that's not been too bad. The seats come off as well. They're all quite easy to take stuff off. It's probably going to be a nightmare when I actually put everything back on. And here there was a battery holder for the Rotax battery, so I've taken that off as well. A couple of things that I have noticed, which by the way, this has got no fluid in, so I'm gonna need to bleed that. And some I noticed that there are no grub screws in this, so this does move freely, but I've got to take them out anyway. These probably can come off now, because I think these were for the Rotax exhaust brackets mounts. And strangely enough, there's a couple of questionable bolts that are not tied in. I hope that's just not because it's rounded off or it's misthreaded, so that's yet to find out. And that was it. It was very easy to take stuff off. I've taken off the pedals. I've got some new senior pedals to go on, or new but new to me, and the footrest has come off quite well. And if you noticed, I managed to nab a three-wheel trolley just for now. It was 35 quid on eBay, so I'm not going to complain. It just saves my back as well. So the main thing that we need to do for these, so along with the engine that I've got, there's a few other things that I've had to purchase that were required. And this GX200 Honda engine, 4-stroke, online, if you can find them, they are about 350 to 450, depending on what type of exhaust it comes with and the quality, and again if it's new, and if it comes with like this this clutch, because these clutches are about 80-90 quid anyway. So while I was trying to search for an engine that, you know, you do the stuff that's been well maintained, you try to get ones that's been maybe been in a series that needs them to be maintained, like BPEC engines, like the British endurance series, because you know that they need to run them well. And some of the Mango guys, they go in the BPEC and they're in those series. They can end up referring me to someone that might know them. For one way or the other, it didn't work out, so I ended up buying one from RPM, which you don't have to do. The great thing about this series is there's rules for the social media group, Facebook group, where if you're going to advertise, if sellers are going to advertise an engine, it has to be limited at 400 quid. And if you're going to advertise a rolling chassis or chassis, I think that is 400 quid as well. So the rules are there to keep you in place, but I just got a new one in the end because I knew that I will be able to sell it should I not get along with it. So we need to work out that. It does come with a few parts, so I've got a cable, a throttle cable that I need to fit. I've not fitted one before, so I don't know what I'm doing with that, so I'd have to look it up and research it. It's a brand new clutch. It's a 20 teeth clutch, which I think is quite a normal one. I think they do a smaller one, like maybe a 16 or 19, and I've seen some with 21s. Again, I'm gonna have to learn all the gearings for the circuits, which reminds me, I've currently got two sprockets at the moment. One's smaller, like a 71 tooth, and one's an 84 tooth. Looking at Stretton, I think that's a 71-ish one that might need. And somewhere, which actually, I don't know where that's gone. There, I've got some chains as well, because you need them. Now, going back to the, can I get that off? Yeah. Can I get that off? No, I can't. Oh, I'm a stinker. Oh, there you go. Going back to the axles, right? So you need, and I'll show you on the kart, you need an inboarded sprocket, an inboarded keyway to allow for the chain to run on the inside of the engine. So these are going to be mounted to your right. So I've had to buy one of these as well. People have been getting an older one, oh shit, have been getting an older one and drilling holes for the keyways. So that might be plausible for my spare ones that I've got given with the kart. And then I need some fuel lines. They're the things that I've got to put on. The breather bottle as well. And I brought an old chain guard because I think I'm going to fuck this one up, to be honest with you, while trying to fettle to make it fit. But that's probably one of the last things that I need to do. And then, through the power of eBay, I picked up some second-hand CRG Senior throttle and brake pedals, and the bolts to go with them as well. So at least they're there, that I know that I need to fit there. So far they're the obvious things that I know that I need to install. The biggest thing for me will just be taking off the axle, undoing that, and then feeding the new one through, along with the right sprocket that I want to apply to it. And also I've got some chain protector to go on as well. So here we go. Right, so the main thing that I've learned about the Honda series, or the GX Senior series, is in order to fit the engine, the chain that is normally run on the outside for Rotax needs to be run on the inside. And the axle that I have here, which is what normally is used, their keyways, so you see there's a hole there. There's also the actual keyway lodged in there. Now I need to have that here, or roughly here, I believe. So by doing that, I've bought an inboarded axle. So I need to take off this axle, undo the parts that will allow me to do that, which is the bearing carriers, the grub screws. I'm hoping it should slide out. I need to probably remove that disc as well, probably. I don't know, we'll find out. Once I get to slide it out, I'm then going to try and put the other one that I've got, the inboarded one, in, and that should allow me to then have the chain barrier, forgive me, I'm butchering these words as well, and be able to align it so that the chain can then go on the inside, because where the engine mounts, the clutch sprocket will probably go about here, and that's where it needs to line up. So that's the main thing that you really need to do in order to move into this GX series. Everything else that I've done have probably had to come off anyway. I was never going to fit in that junior seat, like I was never going to be able to do it, and I needed to take off the parts that were Evo or Rotax related, so then just assess what I've got. I'm going to put it on a bit of a bit of a time lapse now to start getting on with it, and we'll see how we get on. Right, that's come off a bit more easier than what I thought. But I suppose it's always easier taking shit off, isn't it? And then it's about putting everything back in properly to the right specifications, the right torque settings, if there is any. Or is everything just like one grunt, like a, ugh, that's it. So this is the old one, the old axle, which don't look too bad. There is like, obviously, I don't know if you can see it, there's some grub screws marks, which is, I suppose they got to be in a bit. But this, I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can, this is about 15 mil, I would say. Short, not as, the new one is about 15 mil wider than the one that I've taken off, which this one is still within the regs for the maximum width that you can have, so that's good, but I just need to find out, I've got to give them some spare ones, so maybe this one was originally shorter anyway, narrower, so I'll check out the spare ones and go from there. As you can see, it's got an inboard one, an inboard keyway, so I'm hoping that just sits in, well, when it's in, sits in there, it will line up where the engine will be with the chain, and then jobs are good on. All the bolts come out fine. I had to take off the caliper, which I completely forgot to do, and then I was worried that I was going to have to take off the whole disc, but actually I just had to undo the carrier, and when I was pulling it through, it just come out, so I didn't have to undo any of that, which has done me a favour. Hoping you can see this, I've got the camera lent at an angle on an old stand, so if it falls off, then you know what's happened. So now what we need to do is just get the new one in, get everything back in the order that it come off, but in reverse, and then we'll go from there. I am going to double check the regs, just to make sure this is the right width to the one that I ordered, and we'll go from there. Just realised I've not put the chain on, have I? Bollocks. Right, that's I managed to get the I've put the axle back in, managed to get the chain, get it inboarded, with the right keyhole there. I've got one concern is this sprocket guard, chain guard, it's quite big, isn't it? So I'm just worried that it may hit the ground. I mean, it shouldn't do. I got told I should get a 260 one, which is what I have done, but just put this on, and I tried looking to make sure that the keyway is, you know, attached. But when you look, I don't even think the keyway is hanging on at all. I don't even think it's on. It's nowhere near on enough, I would assume. So what I might do is flip this the other way so that this is on the inside, and it should capture more of the keyway, because I'm just a bit reluctant. I'll have a look back at my previous footage. Maybe it was like that way already. I don't know, but I'll definitely check. I did measure both of these, this side and that side, and they are equal. So this is exactly how it should be. But I'm a bit reluctant to leave it because I don't think I'm going to be gripping onto anything. So that's now going to be my next job. Right, that is a lot better. Yeah, that is a lot better now. So you see, I'll get the keyhole. See, that's a lot further in, covering more. I've got clearance, I think, as well. So that's good. I can still get at those 2 bolts. I measured, so that was 22. Oh, so I measured it just against that. That was 22, and then when you turn that around, that's 22 as well. So this is where everything is central. I've just not put a keyway yet in this, and I haven't. I'm not going to tighten them up yet, just in case once I get the engine on, there might be some fettling to do. So this is just going to be more purely a trial run. So once I put the keyway in that, all I need to then do is make sure that, I've got to be honest, I don't know what the hell this bolt is for. And I think I can remove these bolts. They look longer as well. So I've got some offset engine mounts to take the Honda engine. So I'll put them on. I'm just still not confident that that's going to hit the ground. It looks massive, doesn't it? I don't know, well, when the wheels are on, I suppose it'll be all right, but in comparison to the disc, I mean, it's massive. Anyway, let's get going. Right, that's all I'm going to do today. I managed to get most of the bits done that I wanted to. The next job will be to test fit the engine with the offset brackets that we've had to order, and work out how they go in. And then on top of, make sure that it fits to the engine, make sure everything's square, so it's a bit like a dummy fit. Make sure that the chain can align up with the clutch, and then we'll probably move on to the pedals that need doing, if that's all right. Work out what things I need to still take off from the road tax version of the car, and then we'll start with the fuel. We'll move on to the fuel lines. So I hope you enjoyed it so far. I'll try and get the other video done as soon as I can. I'm running out of time myself anyway, I've got a few weeks, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll chat to you soon.